Welcome to part 3 of this tutorial series. You can find the links to all of the parts in the video description below. If you enjoy this content, please smash that like button, and if you don't want to miss future tutorials, you should subscribe. Let's get started. Now it's time to do this part in the middle. And this is actually a very interesting part. I'm gonna call this the motor part because basically it has those air intake. Where's my reference image? Front. So it has all of these tiny little holes, the air intake holes. They go all around, and the whole thing can turn and oscillate. And really, this is the part where the motor is, and the filters and all of that. So this is going to be the motor part. Now there's two ways to do this, and I've done them both. The first way is I wanted to actually model all of these holes. And I did that by creating like a circle. You know how to make a circle. And then give it some thickness. Then use array modifiers to create these grids. So to create the line and then create 12 lines going all around. And then the other row, the one that's like offset a little. So this would be the first set here, and then this is the second set, which has this offset and less holes basically, and then create all of these holes in 3D, and then cut those out with a Boolean modifier of that center cylinder. And it did work, but not with the new Booleans, the exact Booleans, only with the fast old way of making Booleans, and it has a lot of issues. The calculations sometimes, so if you for example look at it from a different angle, or if you take the whole model and rotate it, the Booleans get calculated differently, and then sometimes a hole is missing. So you have this grid of holes, and if you animate this and you oscillate the fan, sometimes like holes are missing and there's actually solid plastic, and it flickers around. It's not good. And then I did the whole thing with just an image texture, and I rendered them both in very high resolution images, and the one with the image texture actually looks better. So even if you're only rendering still images and you have all the holes, nothing's missing and no glitches, the one with the image texture actually looks better. So this is what we're gonna do now. One problem though, if you want to place an image texture onto a cylinder or onto any object, you need UV maps. So this is really the only part where we are really going to add a cylinder for that plastic piece. But before we do that, I want to start off making the holes. Now you could go to Photoshop or Illustrator or Affinity Designer or whatever and create these holes. But this is a Blender tutorial, and we're gonna create our image texture using Blender. So how do we do that? Let me save this file and make a new general file. Go into front view, Shift A, and now I'm really just going to make a circle, I think, with maybe 8. Let's see. What does this look like? That's just a little. Let's do 12, okay? Or maybe even more, it doesn't matter. We don't have a problem here with too much geometry, so we can go nuts here. So this is our circle. We have to scale it down, rotate X 90, and we need our image texture reference again in this file here. Where is my image reference? Here. So let me plug that in here, move it up, just so that my dot here is in my world center. I'm looking at this first hole here. Take this guy, edit mode, scale it down, make them super tiny, like so. Now we need an array to go over on the x-axis, so array modifier. How many do we have here? I think I counted 18 or something like that. Let's see. 18. We don't want relative offset. We definitely want constant offset here. And we can just play with that and make it look correctly. Did we have 19 or 18? Let's see. This looks correct. So yep, 18 holes, and we have this X distance, which gives us this. Also, I'm going to edit mode and hit F to give it a face, to fill it. And we can go here and give this a black material. You know what? I don't want principled. I just want diffuse. Black. Okay. So that's that. And now we need 12 of those. So we have 12 of those square grid things. And we do that with another array modifier. So, oh no, first of all, we have to go down here. So let's do that. Array modifier, not relative, but constant on the C axis. So going down to here. How many do we need? Let's see. This many. Now fine tune this a little. Oh, wow. That worked out great. That's it. Cool. And now we need this array. So we add another array modifier on the x-axis, but not relative. I want constant, and I know I want 12. So let's do that and move it over to something like this. And that gives us all of these dots. Now we need to do the same thing with those. So all I'm gonna do is select this guy, Shift D, move him over here. Okay, just place it in there nicely. So my first array needs only 17. And also my second array here only needs 8. And then the rest is already done. Cool, so this is it. Now let's hide the empty and render this out. I want a completely white world, so I can turn this up, maybe even turn up the strength so that it's white. Let's go into rendered view. We have those black dots. Now I need a camera. Shift A, camera. And in order to render this kind of thing, you definitely don't want a perspective camera, you want an orthographic camera. And the way the orthographic camera works is, well, let me see, let me split the screen here so we can look through the camera here. You can see if I move the camera on the y-axis, it doesn't change the size. As long as I'm in front of what I'm looking at, I can see it in my rendered view over here. If I go behind it, of course, then I can't see it. But the size doesn't change like with a perspective camera. What you have to do here is go into the orthographic scale and change that. So you can see if I bring that down, GX, move my camera on the x-axis so that I have everything in the view here. Well, I just want all of these 12 grids inside of my view. So this is a little bit of a, maybe there's an exact way to do this, but I mean, who cares? GX. So now we're inside. Let's fine tune this to make it really fit. Well, that looks good. Okay. So we have our grids, our hole. We can use Eevee to render this. Let me save it quick. Let's see, what are we? We have Eevee. If I hit F12, what do we get? We get this. Now the white doesn't seem to be very white. Maybe I want to turn this up some more. Oh no, you know what? We have to change the color management setting over here. We don't want filmic, we want standard. So now this looks pretty white to me. White and black. Now the resolution, of course, we have to crank up. So in the settings here, I'm just gonna go 400%, hit F12 again, which gives me a huge screen, and it takes a second. But of course, this being Eevee, it renders fairly quickly, and here we have our image texture. Now, I know that it helps to have square image textures for UV maps, so I think I'm just gonna make my camera view square, 400%, save, hit F12 again, wait a second, and now this I'm going to, you can't see it because it's so big, now you can see it, I'm going to save this image out. And I've done that before, so I have it here already. I saved it out as a TIFF, okay? So you go TIFF, you don't need RGBA, but you want 16 bits. TIFF RGB 16 bits, and then save it out, and I have that here. It's called vents.tiff, and this is how I created it. Okay, so that's that file done. We have an image texture and we made it using Blender. Now let's go back to our this file. And now I'm gonna take a cylinder and place those things on there, those holes. So now this is really, like I said before, the only part where I'm going to add a real cylinder. The cool thing about adding a real cylinder in Blender is that it comes by default with a very nice UV map. Now I do want a little bit more detail, so 64 I think, and I'm going to, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to go into edit mode and simply delete this face, so X face, and this one down here to have a very simple cylinder. Then take the whole thing, scale it down and make it fit here. Okay, so eyeball this, or we can do it exact. I'm just gonna eyeball it for now. Bring it up here, scale and everything except, no, just scale the C actually. So scale C, bring this up. Now I know, no, scale C, so I know that the gap down here is a little taller than the one up here. And I kind of forgot something on my stand part down here. I forgot that little lip going in. Let's do that. Let's fix it. So, GC, let's make some plastic gaps here. We have a cylinder, we can shade it smooth, and that looks good. Cool. What do we look like over here? I'm sure we have to assign the material. So here we have white plastic, here we have white plastic, and this guy needs plastic white also. All right, now let's fix this guy quick. Easy peasy, because we have this, right? So we have this vertex and we have this vertex. What is happening? So let's subdivide this. GX, bring that over here. And then, how do we do this? Subdivide it again, maybe. GX. And take this one, GC, bring it up to create this lip. And now all I need is bring this over to the exact position of this one. How can we do that? We switch on snapping. Snap to vertices, GX, and then you hold Control. Oh, if you don't switch on, then you can GX and hold Control. Yep. So you don't need to switch on snapping. If you do, then it does it automatically. But I like to have it off actually. Set to vertices, and then you can go GX, and you can hover over another vertex while holding down Control, and it snaps to that position. And since I'm locking it into moving on the X, it's exactly what I get and what I want. So now we have this shape, and you can see we get this groove in here, but we have plastic on the inside, just like what we did up here. Let's get out of this view. And let me just check so that the distance up here and down here is about the same. I might want to go in and bring this out a little. So, cool. So now we have a cylinder. That was the complicated cylinder. Now let's put on our image map. We can do that by going over to UV editing. You can see with the cylinder selected and all of the vertices, we already have this UV map. Now we can load in this vents.tiff file. It's big, so it takes a second. And over here, actually, I need a material for this guy. So first of all, let me go to shading. Here I have my plastic white material and I need to duplicate this, right? So I can click on this 3, which gives me a new material, and I'm gonna call it plastic white motor, or shall we call it vents, holes? No, let's just call it motor, because that middle part, the big part in the middle here, is our motor. So with the principled shader selected, we can hit Control T with the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. And then we can plug our vents.tiff in here. So that's that. You definitely want to switch this to non-color. Okay, we're not interested in the color information. We want pure whites, pure blacks, no fancy color management calculations in between. Now let's go back to UV editing. Here we have that, and I think we should see it if I switch it to this view. So GY, cool. Now I'm moving the UV, and I have to move it into the right place. So in front view, let's just eyeball it so we can scale this out a little, because it does look like it got squished. Let's just see, like over here. I'm sure there's an exact way, but I mean, let's do this. I do want one thing though. I know that this, let me show you here. This square is in the center of the whole fan. So I have to move my material. Okay, I can do that. Let's go back to shading, front view, zoom in. Let's bring one of those over. I can do this with the X location here. Just slide it like this and make it fit. Does this look good? Looks like the center to me. Okay, so now we have this material, and maybe I'm gonna switch to cycles in here. So we get this, but those are just black dots now. I want holes. And the way we do that is with some material magic. We can put in a shader. Let me just check that I'm on my motor material, which is just for this part. These ones are just a white plastic, right? So we're on the motor part. We add in a shader and transparent, which means see-through. We can mix those together like so with a mix node. And now we need a factor. We need to tell this shader where it should be completely transparent and where it should be this white plastic material. And we can of course use our thing here. We really don't want this in the material here. We want this to be the same white plastic as this object. Okay, so we're not using this color for the color, we're using this color for the mix shader. Now this is exactly the wrong way around. So color invert. And here we go. We have white on the outside, white plastic, this material, and we have transparent holes where we want the holes. Now there's one other thing we can play with. We can actually see through this. Let me check. So let's add maybe a light, a point light. Bring that up. Put it in the background. And look at it from front view. Or put it inside. Yep. We can look through this. So we really have holes now. Now there's one thing that I do want to fix here. Maybe let's look at it from this angle. And that is, let me delete that lamp. Now we can, the edges on all of these plastic parts of this fan are very sharp. But we can do one little tiny thing with our material here. We can give it a tiny little bump map using the same image texture that we have here. So Shift A vector bump, plug that in here. Now what do we need for bump? We need this image, or do we need the inverted one? Let me see. We want the black parts to go in. Yep, we can take this image, plug that into the height here, like so. And that gives us, oh, I hope this is visible, that gives us this bump around the hole. And it makes it look very nice because it catches the lights on the, you know, on the corner, on the edge. So it's not an infinitely sharp edge. It has a little something, and that can look very nice. So one other thing that we're gonna do here is we're gonna give this cylinder a little bit of thickness. So we're gonna add a solidify modifier. Let me see, what does this look like? It looks a bit weird, and that is because I think we're looking straight through it. So, well, first of all, let me give it a solidify modifier with just 1 millimeter. Okay. And when we're looking at it from an angle, because we have a solidify, we have basically two planes very tightly next to each other. And it gives us sort of the illusion of thickness. But, like I said before, the way you render this is never by looking at it this closely. It's just, it adds to the realism when you have that little bit of solidify and the sort of rounded edges and not so sharp edges. So that's all that is good for. Now, this plastic is very shiny. Why are you so shiny? This is shade smooth, auto smooth. So it looks like this. Maybe I want a little bit of a light in front. Maybe I bring this one to the front. Scale it down a little, but crank up the power. Yeah, this looks good. And here you can see what I mean. It really looks like holes because of the reflections and stuff. And all we did is fake it using a material. Now, you might still see through it, you know, if I have a light behind it and all of that. And in order to fix that, because we know that this is going to happen, right? We're just going to add something inside of our cylinder. And let me do that quick. No, let's switch this off and plug in something. So where's the cylinder? It's called cylinder. So this is going to be base motor, base top and base top 1. No, this is base stand. Again, base stand. Okay, and this is base motor. And I think I'm just gonna go Shift D, escape, go into edit mode, scale it down so that we have something on the inside. Bring it down to where those holes are. Doesn't matter, just like this. Let's call this base motor inside. We can remove our solidify modifier. We just need this to be a surface on the inside so that if we have something behind our model, that it doesn't shine through. And we can just give this the, I don't know, rubber black material. Okay, so now we shouldn't be able to look right through it anymore. And I think our motor part is done. That's it for this part. There's more to come in the next video, so you can head over and watch that. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that this dude made a cool video. Thank you for watching. Chris P out.